I did not think that I would be talking about this next person anytime soon, but this is a big story. And I really want people to think for a second, especially those who are part of the church community that continue to like him and defend him. There is a $260 million lawsuit that has been filed against billionaire writer, producer, actor, director, also known as Medea, Tyler Perry. You guys have got to see this. This is coming from one of his employees. Lawsuit accuses Tyler Perry of sexual assault. Derek Dixon, an actor who worked with Mr. Perry, is suing him for $260 million for sexual harassment, assault, and battery. A representative for Mr. Perry calls the allegations a scam. So again, Tyler Perry is back in the news again. And when I first heard about the story, the first thing I thought of is, wow, another friend of Oprah's, because Oprah's friends just seem to oh my God, not be good when it comes to this issue. Like, what is it? It just seems like a lot of these guys that Oprah tends to hook herself up with, whether it's, who was the other one we talked about? The gentleman that was a part of the school that she founded in Africa, that guy, I forget his name. There was that gentleman who was like a priest or something. Then there was, what's his name? Harvey Weinstein or whatever. I know people feel differently about him or whatever, but now you have Tyler Perry. So again, another friend of Oprah's. I just want to point that out. So let's get into a little bit of the details and then we'll get to the video as well. So it says he's being sued for $260 million for sexual assault by an actor who starred in The Oval, one of Mr. Perry's television series. Derek Dixon, who played the character Dale on the show, claims in a lawsuit that Mr. Perry subjected him to escalating sexual harassment, assault, and battery and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. Now, Tyler Perry's lawyers are calling this, a scam, but there was another gentleman that also was I can't remember if he won or not. I think his name was Christian. Sorry, I forget his last name. But there was another gentleman that also said that Tyler Perry, approached him in an inappropriate manner. So this isn't the first one, but there was that gentleman named Christian a while back. He also came forward and people, I guess at the time, just didn't want to hear it or didn't believe him. So let's get into a little bit more of the details here. This is from Law and Crime. Check this out, guys.
Dixon is suing Tyler Perry, the individual, as well as his production studio. That studio is called TPS Production Services, LLC. That stands for Tyler Perry Studios in Action, LLC. And he is looking for $260 million.
Let's pause here. So that is Derek Dixon. Thank you so much, JB. It's Christian Keys. That was his name. Another one who came forward before, who had criticized and told people that Tyler, listen, this happened. And people were just like, yeah, whatever, we don't believe it. Well, now you have another actor who is coming forward who is saying Tyler Perry not only sexually harassed him, but he's saying sexual assault as well. Apparently, they're going to get into this. You'll see where there was a night where I guess he spent the night at Tyler Perry's house after having, I guess, too much to drink or whatever. And he said that Tyler Perry climbed in the bed with him. Like, this is just, again, he's accused. We don't know if he's guilty or not, but I'm seeing a pattern. If you already have the situation with Christian Keys where he called you out, now you have another actor who is calling you out. So I'm seeing a pattern here. There was also text messages between Tyler Perry and Derek here that I felt like if you're an employer and that's your employee, I felt like some of those text messages were inappropriate. I didn't see anything in the text that was damning, but it is inappropriate relationship. Let's go on here.
Dixon, who portrayed a lead role in Perry's show called The Oval, is claiming 10 causes of action for the civil suit. Quid pro quo sexual harassment, work environment sexual harassment, workplace gender violence, violation of the Bain Act, a California law that protects against violation of someone's civil rights through force or coercion, sexual battery, sexual assault, negligent retention, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and retaliation. Let's get into this lawsuit. The complaint starts off by saying, quote, "This case arises from a sustained pattern of workplace sexual harassment, assault, and retaliation perpetrated by Tyler Perry, a powerful media mogul, against plaintiff Derek Dixon, a professional actor and screenwriter. Mr. Perry is an American actor, filmmaker, and playwright who has built one of the most successful careers in the film and television industry. Mr. Perry took his success and power and used his considerable influence in the entertainment industry to create a coercive, sexually exploitive dynamic with Mr. Dixon, initially promising him career advancement and creative opportunities, such as producing his pilot and casting him in his show, only to subject him to escalating sexual harassment, assault, and battery, and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate."
Let's pause here for a second. So this seems to be a running theme within Hollywood, within the entertainment industry, where it's kind of like, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. I get you this role, I get you, out there and get your acting career off the ground. And in return, you got to do something for me. So first of all, let's say, again, I saw the text messages. Let's drive forward with this. Number one, Tyler Perry was his boss. So even if it were to say, and this is just kind of how I feel about these things, I don't feel like a supervisor should try to assume some type of sexual relationship with their employee. It puts the employee in a terrible position, because if the employee says no, then they got to worry about whether or not they're going to lose their job or whatever, right? So I felt like Tyler Perry was in a position of power here with this particular situation, and that wasn't cool. Like, you don't do that with an employee. This also says something else about Tyler Perry and the way that he treats employees in general anyway. Don't forget, Tyler Perry was against unionizing, didn't want his employees to unionize. There were a number of actors that have come forward that said that he didn't pay them what he should have paid them. We talked about this earlier before, where Tyler Perry was criticized along with Oprah Winfrey by people like Taraji P. Henson because of the Color Purple remake, where they said that they were not fairly compensated, that sometimes there wasn't food on the set. So let's just keep all of these things in mind. It's not just about what Derek is accusing him of. It shows a pattern of Tyler Perry and the way that he treats workers. Let's continue.
Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. These events occurred while Mr. Dixon was employed as a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, and while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment, compensation, and creative opportunities. This lawsuit even compares Perry to some other infamous celebrities who have been called out for their behavior in the past. Quote, "Just like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean P. Diddy Combs, Kevin Spacey, Roger Ailes, and many others in the industry, Mr. Perry's success has led him to believe that money and influence can get him whatever he wants. That belief slowly transformed into the false idea that Mr. Perry can get whomever he wants." According to the lawsuit, Dixon was working as part of an event staff at a party that Perry was hosting in Atlanta when Perry noticed him and offered him the chance to audition for a part in one of his hit TV shows. Before we get back to this bombshell lawsuit involving Tyler Perry, I want to bring you a law and crime legal alert.
So we're going to fast forward through their sponsorship here. So that part right there is pretty interesting. The way that he was discovered was because he was working at an event, and that's kind of how he got discovered. So it wasn't as, I say this because this is important. It wasn't as though he showed up at an audition and that's how Tyler Perry, became to know of him. Tyler Perry sought him out, right? Or his assistant sought him out. So that, and that makes me think of grooming. That questions for just a second, right? So there are people working at this event, and you go and you pick this guy, right? Have you done this before? Has Tyler Perry done this before where he's picked people at certain events or just picked out certain people based on what they look like, not knowing if they have any talent or any skill to act at all, but just picking them based on what they look like? And it really makes me wonder, was this possibly grooming? That's what it makes me wonder. And again, you have to go back to Christian Keys, another one who came forward before. You didn't know if this guy had any talent at all. Let's continue.
Part on Perry's show called Ruthless. Then he returned to his event staff job, through which he was hired to work at Perry's parties in places like Los Angeles and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. As Dixon spent more time with Perry, he says that Perry would flirt with him through text messages and his advances became more aggressive. Dixon claims that he was invited to Perry's Georgia home where he and Perry drank together. When Perry told him he was too drunk to drive and offered him his guest bedroom, Dixon says he accepted. But then he claims that while he was asleep, Perry climbed into bed with him and tried to initiate sex. Dixon says he tried to distance himself from Perry, but he was offered a role on Perry's show, The Oval. The lawsuit then reads, Dixon did his best to tiptoe around Tyler Perry's sexual aggression while keeping on Mr. Perry's good side. Mr. Perry made it clear to Dixon that if Dixon ignored Perry or failed to engage with the sexual innuendos, Dixon's character would die in the next season.
Pause. If that is true, if he threatened him that if you continue to push back on my sexual advances or whatever, then I'm going to kill your character off in the show. That's so crummy and dirty. And that's someone in a position of power, which Tyler Perry was. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Again, he was his boss, and he was in that position to dangle that over his head. So if that is true, and he told him that, that is very, very sad. And then I want to say this, if it comes out that this is true, again, he's still accused at this point. But if there's more evidence that is brought forward that shows that this is actually true, I have a question for the church community that loves Tyler Perry, more so the women, because I don't think a lot of dudes really be feeling Tyler Perry movies like that. But I got a question, because what are you going to do? Are you going to hold Tyler Perry accountable for this type of behavior? This is someone that has spent a lot of time in multiple movies talking about sexual harassment or sexual assault. There's a number of movies that Tyler Perry has produced where there is a character who has been through some type of sexual trauma. And if it is true that Tyler Perry was a perpetrator of that type of sexual behavior that he preaches so much against, that is a load of hypocrisy. And it makes you really wonder, who the hell is Tyler Perry? Like in real life, who are you? Who are you? And now I'm starting to look back and I'm starting to question some of the shows. And I told you guys before, like he tends to have very similar plots and people get tired of it. But now I'm starting to wonder, was he trying to send a different message by having so many different characters have some type of sexual trauma experience? Was he trying to send a different type of message? Was he trying to tell you guys that maybe he was participating in that type of behavior? I don't know, but it just kind of reminds me of the episode of the Boondocks. If you've never seen the Boondocks, you need to watch it. There was an episode of the Boondocks where they made fun of Tyler Perry, but the character had a different name, I guess probably to, protect them legally or whatever. But they were making fun of him as like this theater director guy who was very full of himself, but was choosing men to play roles based on what they looked like and not necessarily their acting ability. It's almost like the Boondocks were ahead of something, right? It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder.
Indeed, Dixon's character Dale was shot 4 times in the chest at the end of his first season on The Oval, and Perry always held this over Dixon's head, implying that Dale would survive if Dixon kept Perry, quote, happy. According to the complaint, Perry had made it clear to Dixon that he would kill characters in order to get an actor to be loyal or obedient. During the pandemic, Dixon says Perry convinced him to stay in one of the houses that was part of Tyler Perry's studios, quote, in or around April of 2020. And while Dixon was living in the studio homes on set, Perry often coerced Dixon to drink alcohol and then get on the phone with Perry. Perry would frequently have someone drop off alcohol at Dixon's door. Perry would eventually turn these phone calls into sexually explicit rants. Perry would get frustrated with Dixon and tell Dixon that he was not giving Perry, quote, what he needs. Dixon's refusal to succumb to Perry's sexual advances caused Perry to be ever more frustrated.
Again, what does the Christian community say about this? Because Tyler Perry, he's another one, he always says that he's a Christian and he goes to church and all this kind of stuff. And I'm trying to tell you guys, as someone who grew up in the church, some of the people in the church be the biggest freaks that you meet, okay? So what is the Black community going to say about this? Like, what is the Black community, I would say the Black church community, what are they going to say about this? Or what are we going to, because you can't idolize people. You can't. And if this sounds a little bit too detailed to me to be false. I mean, we won't know for sure, but it just sounds a little bit too detailed. And we're seeing a pattern again.
Eventually, Perry warned Dixon that if Dixon told his castmates about the harassment, Dixon would be opening himself up to lots of, quote, questions and foolishness, and demanded that Dixon not discuss any of their conversations with his castmates. Dixon's lawsuit also listed out some of the sexual commentary by Perry that Dixon claimed he experienced while filming The Oval in 2020. This is what he says that Perry told him. Dixon said that Perry told him, quote, that he liked being choked. That was after Dixon's character was choked by a cast member in a scene on The Oval. Perry also allegedly said, why do you twist your hips when you walk? How can I get a day of Dixon? When will you be thick again? I love how I feel right now, but I don't like being horny. I feel sorry for the first person who flirts with me, and I've been trying to put that energy somewhere else, but everything is sexual on this stuff.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The behavior was inappropriate because he was his boss. It's inappropriate behavior altogether. Now, there's two sides to a story. We'll have to wait to hear the other side. Like I said, right now, his lawyers are saying that this is just a scam, but they had the text messages too. So regardless if he sexually assaulted him, these text messages coming from a supervisor to an employee is inappropriate. Period. I don't know, you guys. Like, we're going to have to ask a question again. Like, I feel like the damage has already been done because people had their feelings about Tyler Perry anyway. And the majority of his audience are Black women, or more so women in general. But the Medea, shows, the Medea plays, the Medea movies also have a church following. So I don't know, man. I'm just waiting to see. And you guys let me know how you feel about it. I'm waiting to see, is the church community going to hold Tyler Perry accountable if it turns out that this is true? I would hope so. And also, Oprah got some weird friends. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.